GH Squad Podcast, episode 34. Every week, Mason, Seth, and I break down what's going on in the professional horticulture industry with our own unique brand of humor and genius. If you're not following us on Instagram at GH Squad Pod, you should definitely get on that. Mason, it is wonderful to have you back. I think Seth and I crushed it last week. I really do. But there was like an empty space in our hearts without you. It's really nice to see you again this week.
It's great to be back. As you can tell, I know you guys were hypothesizing why I was gone. My voice is a little scratchy this week. It's because I was, in fact, singing lead for Avenged Sevenfold all week last week. So it's good to be back in the office here and able to connect with you guys. And, you know, the road was hard last week, but we carry on.
Good. And actually, it's funny you mentioned Avenged Sevenfold because I was thinking about them a couple days ago as maybe being the band that's as close to Metallica sounding as any other band. I'm just going to go out. Maybe that's a hot take.
Maybe was kind of thinking
more
the same.
People listening that even know what I'm talking about. But
I mean, I don't know. I could suggest that Megadeth sounds like Metallica, and that would just rile up. Dave Mustaine might call into the episode next week.
If that happens, we will go viral, and that will be awesome. Seth, any thoughts on bands that sound like Metallica? Testament, you are totally right. I think Testament does sound like Metallica. Good call, Seth. Gentlemen, how was your week?
Oh, it's busy. I've been on the road. I was on the road last week for our Friday recording, and I have been at my house since then, like 7 hours on Sunday, and then like 4 hours Wednesday morning. And now back on Friday. So it's, had a little bit of a personal trip. Went out to a buddy's wedding or reception on Saturday in Colorado. And then Monday morning went straight up north to Testament. Got to see the good folks at Testament. And then came back and then drove up to the Carlin show on Wednesday. Yeah,
what is
I'm trying to get the dates right. Testament?
Where?
Testament is a horticulture distributor up in, they cover like the Dakotas, Minnesota, northern Wisconsin. Good northern folks. Like, I don't know, that's a good place of the country. Like everybody there is so happy and they do a great job. And everyone there is so nice. And then Carlin, obviously, like I would say, like heart of the Midwest here, like Wisconsin. Like it's at the Washington County Fairgrounds, like as any show in Wisconsin should be at a fairgrounds.
Heck
so
yeah.
Good stuff.
Good. Well, I'm happy you're back.
We're in Colorado.
That you came back with a cold, but
it's all right.
You'll be fine.
Colorado? I was out Denver.
You like Denver?
Yeah, it was a combo. It was a fantasy football draft weekend, which we haven't explored that topic much with the listeners, but as they will find out that I get pretty involved in that as the season goes on here. But then one of our league members, it was his wedding celebration. So we were supposed to draft in Louisville originally, and then we moved the draft to Denver so we could do that and do both because we didn't want to be gone 2 weekends in a row. Yeah. So I will say I had the first pick in the draft.
And?
I drafted Jahmyr Gibbs, of course.
Agreed. There you go.
Yeah. Detroit Lions, baby.
Definitely.
And my Tigers have taken a slide here in the last week.
That's all right. So have the Guardians. So
yeah,
and the White Sox aren't real. Paper Tiger.
Paper Tigers.
Yep. Seth, how was your week?
I think it was good. I actually was like, let me look at my calendar, see if I come up with anything intelligent to say. And I don't even remember what happened this week.
Well, then that must mean it's a good week. Well, I had an emotional roller coaster of a week. It was dropped Emma off for her first day of her first year of college on Wednesday. That is quite an experience that perhaps you guys will have one day. Yeah, it was rough for us, like for parents. For her, it was fine. She was like, "Yeah, this is gonna be great." So, and all signs point to the first couple days have been awesome. So. We're very happy for her.
Congrats on that. You're now officially an old timer. Congrats on that.
Yeah, I'm wearing a Bowling Green hat in her honor.
So is it weird yet? Like, so you've gone multiple nights only having one kid in the house?
Yeah, it's weird. Yeah, but she will be back, I'm sure, in a month or something. And
how Paige is a junior?
Junior. Yep.
Dang, you're slipping closer to empty nest status.
Right? 2 more years, you don't have to wear clothes around the house. You just
if you want, maybe I'll send a kid out for a few months.
Just like for camp?
Yeah.
Camp at the Calkins house?
The Calkins camp.
Camp Calkins.
Yes. I love that
I'll
idea.
send you 2.
Yeah, I'm gonna send mine as well.
I don't know.
Sadie will be old enough to drive next summer.
Thanks for volunteering, Bill.
Sounds nicer than that.
Yeah, Sadie could pick up Elliot. Sadie will take Elliot and then Mason's 2 kids for like a week, and she'll just drive them to Ohio.
Perfect.
I like this.
This sounds great.
Yeah.
Thanks for volunteering.
I'll run it past Jenny. And get back to you guys on that.
Actually, you know what? I would prefer if I drop them off so I can schedule the pickup time when it's convenient for us.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
All right, this is not going to happen. Emma is not gone forever. I'm sure that she'll be back in the summer to do her thing. But yes, so college drop off went well. She was pretty happy to see us go, and has done well the first couple days. So fingers crossed. It should be good. And then school started, so which I'm going to actually get in one of my hot takes. But I think I have a topic for this week, and it comes basically because earlier in the week I was talking to a grower, and he mentioned he called poinsettias the necessary evil, and I always chuckle because I've heard that before. And I get that what he says, right? He's like, we always grow them, we kind of have to grow them, customers buy them. But it's a long crop, tons of issues. There's bugs, there's disease you got to worry about. And we grow them in the heat of the summer when he said most of his team just kind of wants to take some days off and recover. And he called it a love-hate relationship. And that got me thinking about what else drives growers crazy. And I will admit, I've never been a grower. I have been in garden center retail. So, I think we could probably touch on some garden center topics too. But and I was saying, I definitely remember our store manager being fed up with a lot of things. He was a fun guy, but he definitely got frustrated, especially because the entire staff was high school boys, and then me and another older guy, which can drive anybody crazy. But I don't know. What do you guys think? What are some of the most hated things in horticulture, things that drive folks crazy?
I think most of the time we try to remain positive, but I do like this concept. It reminds me of, and I know you've seen this, Bill. There's no chance that Seth has seen it. The Chappelle Show episode where it's the player haters ball. Where they're like, hate. So I think we're due for that.
Yes,
him. So no, I mean, well, dude, off the top. Number one, this happened brought to the front of mind recently. When I was at Raker, I had a conversation because they had some local garden club people out there. I hate when people don't think they need to fertilize their plant. And that's pretty on the nose for what I do, right?
Right.
This lady came up to me and she goes, I just don't buy it. And I was like, excuse me? And she goes, I don't think that fertilizer, you need it. She's like, I don't think you. And I was like,
tell me. Does she feed her pets or her children?
So I was like, tell me more. I knew this was going to be a fun conversation.
Oh yeah.
And she was just like, every time I use fertilizer, I just don't see the results. And I asked her, I go, well, how often are you feeding your plants? And she goes, well, when I buy them at the garden center and I bring them home and I plant them, I fertilize them. And I was like, and that's it? And she goes,
not with a slow release, not with just
no.
Couple
probably
handfuls
probably the free packet that she gets on her hanging basket. And I looked at her and I was like, so if you ate once a summer, would you feel the results from that? And so she did not like that response.
No, probably not.
I didn't know really what else to tell her. I was like, oh, you got to feed at least every 7 days. Most of the time we tell people to, every time you're watering, try to feed them something, feed them anything. And I forget who it was. She went over the next booth after me, and it was somebody from Raker was standing there, and she saw her, and she was so clearly frustrated by me trying to sell her.
It was triggered by the fertilizer conversation.
So she went over and chatted and was like, can you believe this guy told me? And I heard the lady goes, no, honey, he is not trying to sell you more fertilizer. You definitely need to be feeding your plants more than that. And then she just like walked off. So, but that's like the first thing. And I hear it so often. It's like people are like, what do I need to feed? Like once or twice a summer? And I'm just like anything is better than nothing, I guess. But that's what I hate.
That's why they make those things that go on the end of your hose that you put some fertilizer in and it mixes it and dilutes it for you. And you don't even have to think about it.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden your petunias bloom a lot. And you're like, wow, these must be great petunias. Well, maybe, but it also just could be that they're not starving.
Well, and that's the thing. This maybe is a secondary gripe, but I'll level it into the same thing, is that folks don't realize that every time they go to a greenhouse and the greenhouse is watering and they're buying plants, is that the greenhouse that they're buying the plants from is feeding those plants every time that they're watering them as well. Yeah. So then they're like, well, I bought it and it looked great. But then 3 weeks in, it started to, poop out. And it's like, yeah, because they're feeding it every time they're watering it. And you've decided that it doesn't need to eat anymore.
I suggest people just plant the plant in fertilizer. Just use more fertilizer than soil. Then you're good to go.
Yeah.
At least 1 full cup of granular around with the soil. You're good to go.
No, that's comparative to if you were dropped in a silo full of candy corn and somebody said, eat your way out.
Eat your way out.
Oh, probably looks great for the first, probably feels great for the first minute. And then it's a slow, painful death.
So are you saying fertilizers like candy corn then? Like if I eat smaller amounts of candy corn, I'm fine?
Yeah, you probably love the taste of it. But I would probably go with a more balanced diet than that. And that's what Jax is good for.
Oh. Is Jax creatine?
Product placement. We're not sponsored by Jax. Thank you.
Yeah. Is fertilizer
sponsored by anybody? So.
All right, let's keep going. I'm
All right. I have one. Most hated horticulture, big box stores. And this is a crazy take, I know. Being that I certainly work for a company that does a lot of business through box store growers. But more than half of all plants end up at big box stores. And there's a very small number of growers that supply them. Like if you look across the industry at total number of growers, the amount of growers supplying, say the big 3 chain stores is very small. So that's why I think that they take a beating amongst so many in the industry. My question is this fair? I actually don't think it's fair because I think we need both. We need independent businesses. We need box store businesses. We just need more plants in people's gardens. I think that is like the rising tide thing, raises all ships. But I don't know. I don't have a whole lot of discussion on it, but I definitely think big box stores are hated in horticulture.
So I used to be of that mindset. Growing up in a retail greenhouse, right? My competition was I wouldn't we'd always, if I was staying in the greenhouse, right, I'd always be like, you don't want to buy something from Home Depot. The quality here is much better. So for my first few years in the industry, I brought that mindset with me, and I did a lot of writing, and I mentioned some of that slipped into some of the writing, and there was a guy at, I think it was Dallas Johnson, that wanted, I think he physically wanted to fight me after I said that. And then he sent me this manifesto and was like, come see what I can grow. And you know what? I didn't go out there. And it's not that I was afraid of the guy.
Wow, you were afraid.
But you know what? I took a look at some of the stuff that he'd done on the social media. He was right. The quality was great.
Yeah.
And so I think that's where it goes back to, Bill, is that, I think you can find great plants at box stores. I think you can. And I think that that certainly exists for a set of the customer set in the industry that is, maybe they haven't gotten to the garden center yet, or it's an in-between stop, hey, I just need a quick couple fill-ins. I think where you run into some quality issues is things that have been sitting there a long time.
Right.
The box stores just aren't equipped. The box stores themselves aren't necessarily always equipped to care long-term for plants. And I think that maybe they get a bad rap for that. But I think there's a place for everybody.
I think they get a bad rap for employees not being as knowledgeable as the employee in the perennial department of an independent garden center who's a genius. The information gap is quite large.
Yeah, but that,
unless you find someone at the box store who's
were you a genius working at the garden center, Bill?
I was, yeah.
Give me a break.
Yeah. I would say that maybe the labor the knowledge level at independent garden centers a decade ago is probably different than it is now, because I've been to a lot of independent garden centers where there's a lot of staff there that won't make eye contact with me and don't really know a lot about the plants. There's like some people, right? There's some people that know a lot of stuff, but I think just finding knowledgeable people in general now is super challenging. I will say that I think that, to your point, Bill, a misconception. I know that, like, after visiting many box store growers, like, they are some of the best, most sophisticated, most knowledgeable in our industry. They all have their own trial sites that they do. So therefore, they're actually helping all the other growers around the country. And a lot of the box store merchants put an incredible amount of time and effort in figuring out, like, what is their regional offering. I think people think it's like one national offering.
No.
But there's always like these merchants from around the country that are like, this is what we need for the Southeast, or, like the 4 states in this region. And this is what we need in these states. So it's actually like super complex, in figuring out what to be grown and how it's grown. So I don't know. It feels like there's a lot of misconception.
I think there's a lot of unjustified hate. And I would say that even at the care level, like, not all. There are some great garden centers out there. Seth and I and you, Bill, have all been to those.
We talked about some of them in our last episode. If you haven't listened to that one yet.
Shout out to episode 33.
But there are also some garden centers, Seth. There's one that comes to mind in Florida that maybe shouldn't exist or have existed ever. And I think that, there's some box stores where the staff is knowledgeable. Like, I've met quite a few people in the industry, actually, and I forget, there were a couple people down south that, like, I learned they were working for different companies, and I learned that they got their start being like the manager of the Lowe's, like the plant yard at Lowe's. And I was like, oh, like, and they were like, yeah, like, I picked up all this information, like, and so, like, I think that location to location, you probably get a different result, and there are probably some that are really great and some that aren't great, and a lot that are in the middle. And that's true of all things. But I think that the hate for box stores is probably unjustified. But if you're on the garden center side of the fence, I'm not going to fault you for it either.
Nope. Me neither. But I also, box stores are big, so they take, they're easy to swing at. So, Seth, what do you think? Give me something that's hated in our industry.
Mandatory pots and tags with national brands.
Have you ever had to sell or get a greenhouse to want to buy those?
I have.
Me too. Me too. I have too. It's rough.
Yeah. Like when I did Burpee, and there are other big national brands, right? You put a lot of emphasis into the marketing and the PR. And then a lot of times people are like, oh, like, I like the variety, but they're like, well, I can't use your pot. Like, I should be able to use whatever pot I want. It's like the rules aspect, right? Like, I think a lot of people want to benefit from the marketing of things, but then don't want to play along. And so then you spend so much effort and time be like, well, all the marketing speaks to like this one word or 2 words or 3 words. So like, you get the benefit if you include that, and then it's just, but like, when I did Burpee, like, so much of the conversation was like, this is why you want to have the Burpee pot. And the Burpee tag, but a lot of people don't want to pay the premium.
So like, why should I pay 12 cents for that tag when it should be 7 cents or 5 cents?
Yeah. The industry, not everyone, right? And there's a lot of people, obviously, that had a lot of success with Burpee. They have a lot of success with proven winners and Monrovia and Bailey and Wave and all these things. But I think there are still a fair amount of businesses that want to benefit from the marketing without participating. And at the end of the day, like, there's always a royalty that pays for the whole thing.
Yeah.
And you need, like, we all needed to like, just like participate a little bit more. So there's more going out in the hemisphere of people's lives.
I mean, people always tell me, they're like, well, Proven Winners does a great job at marketing. Like, that's where, like, that, they're one of the shining examples that get marketing in the industry. And, that goes back to, well, it comes from having the dollars to be able to do those things, which they have to get from the things that you don't like to pay for. So, I think our industry, like, we're full of renegades, and that's what makes it kind of cool. But renegades don't like to be told
independent
what
businesses.
To do. I don't want
it's entrepreneurs, right? Like, created their farm stand because they could do it better than anyone else, right? Like, it's like, it's hard to like, we don't like, none of the entrepreneurs like rules. And
Right.
it's like
well, then right along with that, I don't know if this is actually similar at all, but I'm going to go to, I think that growers and people in our industry hate airplane travel. Growers hate planes. And I think it's because they're used to being in control. They're used to being on the ground. Planes are crowded. People in airports are jerks. You're not in your greenhouse. Travel is a pain, but I think it is really amplified to folks in our industry.
Disagree.
Like, it's hilarious. Like, we have like our gold suppliers come in to Ball Seed once every 2 years to like have like multi-day meetings with our technical team. And they all hate flying, like way worse than I like see like, my friends who sell software and are on planes all the time. Like, it's just funny. I think growers hate planes.
Yeah, but how often do they travel? Like, in general, like how,
right. Maybe a lot, maybe a little, but I think they really hate it.
I disagree.
Unless you're my friend Jonathan from Sedan Floral, who has his own plane because he's like a pilot.
Sick.
Well, he probably also hates other people's planes. That's why he got his own.
Probably why he has his own little plane.
Yeah. Does he have like plush carpet on the bottom of like any like extra, things that you don't have in a regular plane?
I have no idea.
Have you ever been on a plane?
No.
Oh,
sorry.
Can you for the next podcast?
I'll ask.
Ask him if we can do a podcast on a plane.
Ooh, that's a good point. You would probably let us.
On that. I don't think so.
You'd probably let us.
Small planes are dangerous. I'm not going to do that.
Well, we don't have to be in the air.
Ooh,
okay. Like, we're on the ground.
Yeah.
We could go over to
if you come to Cultivate next year, they always fly to Cultivate. I'm sure we could figure this out.
Just do a pod. It'd be like this is like a 1980s like mob movie. Like, we're doing a podcast on the tarmac.
On the tarmac.
I wonder if that's not a grower thing. I think that Midwest people hate to fly. And like, I get in this conversation with all of my friends on the coasts, and they're like, yeah, I'm flying. And I'll be like, how long a drive is that? And they're like, 5 hours. And I'm like, 5 hours? Why are you flying? Like, people in the Midwest, like, if it's less than 10 hours, they're like, why are you flying?
Right.
No. That is no. I could say like 7. 7's like my threshold.
I flew to Minneapolis this past week for a show so I could get there, get back quickly. And the amount of people at that show, they were like, "What? You flew?"
Yeah, but it's only 6 hours. 6 hours. That's not 10.
No, but I'm saying like there was nobody that was like accepting of that.
Right.
And I feel like on the coast, people are like, "Yeah, obviously I would fly."
Interesting.
So,
it's a good point. It's a good point.
It's just because we're all Midwesterners, Great Lakesers.
All right, here. I got something that does relate to what Seth said.
All right.
Tags.
4-letter word.
People in our industry hate tags. And it's funny, again, they're extremely necessary, but I have never in my entire life, and I've been in a lot of greenhouses, I have never walked past the tag room or those shelves, the dusty shelves near the head house, and not heard like a significant amount of griping that usually includes profanity and pointing and saying, I half these tags, and they look like they've been there forever. And they're kind of a museum of like past brands and past products. And
Well, in the words of our friend Scott, tags are great service. Tags are great service. TAGS. Tags are great service.
That was good. But like, since you can't you can't recycle them, so they just go in the trash. So like, I'm sure like
you can't recycle tags.
No.
Why can't you recycle tags?
No, that's like the bottom of the barrel plastic.
Yeah. Well, and then also the issue, like we had waste management in, and they just like for Earth Week, and they talked about recycling, and they got recycling plants all over the U.S. And like the really small stuff isn't actually recyclable for like the general homeowner because that if it's too small, it's not recognized in all of their automated machinery. So they said even like on the prescription medicine bottles on the bottom, it says it's recyclable. It says too small. Like it gets lost in the mix and actually just ends up in the landfill. So it's like, so they said they tags, they're flat.
So we should be going for bigger plastic containers. Is that more sustainable?
Well, as long as it's not black pots. Yeah, maybe giant tags. Like that could be like tags, if you make the tag really big and like more like 3-dimensional. So it's like a model.
The size of a fat head.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's like 3D printed.
Yeah, maybe like round tag or spherical tags. If it's a
That's just a
spherical
ball.
tag.
Conical, like cones.
Conical? Yeah.
Like a dunce.
And then we could work with a fertilizer company, and you could like pour fertilizer into those conical tags.
Multi-use tag. There we go. Yeah. Or I mean, in like from a sustainability aspect, like how is there a different option than tags?
Yeah.
Then people don't have to like
trash. A lot of like printing labels and stuff. I mean, there are options, but tags are important for customers because people say they save them from year to year. I think that's like 1% of people.
I just thought of a really good one.
And then they're also important for growers and the people like watering and maintaining crops in a greenhouse. So what else we got?
All right.
Okay. So this one is like, this is not a macro level. This is a microaggression, as they would say. But you know what I hate is when you're in a greenhouse and maybe you're carrying something or maybe you're getting a basket down and that drip emitter comes down and just smokes you. The worst is if it hits you in the eye or if it like hits you in the bridge of the nose, cuts your bridge of your nose.
Yeah.
But like a lot of those things are heavy. Like they're little like lead weights on the end
of
it.
It's like right. It's like a sinker.
And it comes down as like a pendulum and it's just like wham. And like I used to hate when guys, you'd work with a crew in a greenhouse and they'd walk in front of you and you got your hands full, you know, you're working on finger fatigue. You got 3 pots in each hand. And the guy in front of you's got one hand and he's just slapping them all. So that you're like trying to duck them and then one's going to catch you. Oh, even worse than the eyes. If like you're really tall and it catches you in the tooth, game over. Like that sucks. No one likes that. Yeah. Nobody. Yeah. I had a guy one time tell me he told my mom, and I don't know if he was kidding, but he's like, I'm going to sue for that. And I was like, all right, guy, we all hate it. We all deal with it. Grow up.
All right. Can I jump in?
Yeah.
Are you done?
Yeah.
I just thought of a really good one.
Go for it.
So everyone in horticulture hates when the UPS and FedEx driver delivers the box like this.
Yes.
With a sign like this.
Yes.
Like everyone, and for the people that are on Spotify or Apple, it's like, you know, that box where it's like live plants and the arrow goes up, and like every time the box is upside down or on its side, and you know, the boxes look like they've been trashed because the driver's just like tossing it from the truck onto the ground. Yep. Like, what? Yeah, everyone hates that.
Yeah.
Well, this is a perfect time to mention that I did pose this same question to the more than 6,000 members of a horticultural Facebook group that I moderate, and we got a whole bunch of comments back. Shout out to the Greenhouse Tech Team group. If you're on Facebook, search that and I'll let you in. But we had multiple responses about those boxes. In fact, friend of the show, Sam Dorito, says box of young plants arrived turned over with plants damaged. Someone else said when UPS and FedEx employees that can't seem to comprehend the instructions this side up or handle with care. What do you get when you cross FedEx and UPS? Fed up. Fact. So whenever we're done with our things you hate, I will read through some of these because there's some really, really good ones. And what else we got?
All right. Here's another one. This is, again, working at a garden center greenhouse. After watering plants, right? And there's probably a bunch of these that could go in here. Just carrying plants after watering them, it's rough anyway because you get soaked. But after watering like mixed containers, right? Thinking the pots, the plastic terracotta looking ones. Okay, you pick one up, you got to carry it over and you set it down. Maybe you set it down a little too hard. Normally it's fine, but somebody has loaded that pot up with like Terrasorb or whatever the water holding crystals are.
Yeah.
And you set that bad boy down and it just explodes because those crystals have so much mass to them.
It's like tension in there.
Yeah. And then so that whole pot is like shot now. And then you're the one that gets blamed because you're like, careful, don't be dropping the pots. But it's more so to deal with it. It's just a balloon ready to pop. And you happen to just like hit, like maybe you set it down on a rock.
I was going to say, there's like some pebbles or something. I've done that. Crack the bottom of the pot.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. That you hate that. You hate to see that. Yep.
Especially if it's a branded pot that you paid 2x the cost of the pot for.
Yeah. I will say those ones are usually made of plastic that gives a little bit, but I have seen it so many times in that like hard terracotta plastic, and it just either blows out the entire bottom or the sides just crack down like a seam straight up the side, and you're like, oh. And then you try to hide it. You like get another empty pot and just set that one in there. Never looks good.
All right, I got one. This word, I think it's one word, could be applied on the grower side, or like kind of like even like what we do. And this kind of goes off, this would be taking what Bill had said, but I'm thinking more on the retail side, is the undervalue, right? Like how, as a consumer, we're paying like more than twice as much for coffee and so many things. But yet, like on the plant side, if it's like 30% more, everyone's like, what? Like, and the fact that people think that like plants are like really basic stuff, like it's not that sophisticated, like they grow outside. Like I see my shrubs and stuff. And that's what you were saying. Like, like, oh, like everything grows outside. Like how hard is it to grow it inside of a building?
Well, it's like we got a comment that says when people say, what do? Plants just grow by themselves. I think that drives people crazy in the industry.
You know how there's that like fear of like, I think there's like a bunch of like movies and shows about this, where like, what is it? Social equity isn't the right word, but it's like, maybe it is actually, I don't know. But where it's like you walk around society with like a social score and like every interaction like dips it or raises it.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind if that we changed it slightly. I'd be okay with it. Like if you walked around and like your garden was visible in a hologram, so that anytime was like, plants just grow, right? And then it's just a guy's yard that has like 3 dead hydrangeas in the front of his yard. It's like, oh yeah, it just grows, huh? Got it. I think that maybe when the doomsday comes or the AI takes over, that's what I'll try to slip in. I wouldn't mind.
I want to see that lady's yard, the one who was arguing with you about the need for fertilizer.
Yeah.
Maybe like exploding plants or something. I think of like the car, right? Oh, okay, hold on. Let me let's just not.
We all hate exploding plants. Everybody.
And exploding cars.
Okay. All right. Like if you have a car, and I had one of these cars like a car ago that was really loud because the muffler was all like messed up. It was starting to get some rust spots. It was looking a little rough on the edges. So then people are like, what? Like my neighbors were making fun of me. They're like, called me the NASCAR guy because they could hear my car coming into the neighborhood. Right. It was free. Okay. I liked it,
All right. I'm
following. You see where I'm going? Like, so for the garden, if you like if you're not planting in fertilizer and you're not doing all the things and your garden looks super rough, then like it explodes and everyone's like, oh, what happened? Your garden exploded, or like, it smells, so I don't know, some sort of like negative social score. I'm playing off your social score here.
So lost.
Yes. And Seth. Yes, and
is this not going to make it into the take? Or are you going to edit that?
I hope it does.
Yeah,
I'm leaving it in.
Does. All right.
It was really good, by the way.
Moving on, another one. And this is probably like, this is only relevant to the greenhouses that Seth doesn't like, greenhouses that don't have paved floors.
Okay, I didn't say I don't like them. It's just not my preference. Like
when you're cleaning out the weeds of a greenhouse, because if you're not paved, there's a lot of weeds. And sometimes like everybody's like thinks, just wear gloves. Like it's tough to wear gloves. You get hot, you get sweaty, things get in your gloves, they get itchy. When you're not wearing gloves and you reach down to pull weeds out and you just straight up grab a stinging nettle. Thistle's one thing, but stinging nettle, like it's not just an ouch. It's an ouch that's going to last for the next like 20 minutes.
At least 20 minutes. And it's an ouch that like itches. It goes from like hurting to itching to being annoying. Oh my gosh.
And then your like punk friend that was working in the garden center with you picks it up and then just starts trying to whack you on the arm with it the whole time. Ugh, that's the worst. I hate it. Stinging nettles, hate.
Big time. All right, I got a couple here. I'm going to read a couple out of this group because I know that some of these growers are going to totally understand and agree with. Uneven watering, definitely something that can drive any grower crazy. I like this one. I think is all retail, and I've had this happen when everyone shows up as soon as I try to eat my lunch. Yeah, that's going to happen. Let's see. When people say that winter is the slow time, no greenhouse. Let's see. When inventory system says that 5 trays make a full boxer case, but I received 4 trays plus 1 loose in a second box. I ordered enough to fill complete boxes specifically to reduce damage, packing waste, and shipping costs. I'm sure that somebody else has had that happen. Standing up plants after a storm, definitely. I've had to do that. That is a pain.
Especially like trees and shrubs that are like
that's
just
what I was thinking of
too big.
The nursery. Yeah. Well, this kind of gets to the undervalued. This woman says, I'm a grower, but really I'm a biologist, a plumber, an electrician, a chemist, a teacher, a maintenance guy, a tractor operator, a salesman, IT, event coordinator, social media assistant, and logistics coordinator. But we're just called growers, so everyone thinks we play with flowers all day. My buddy Tony Carter down south says water hoses on the ground and empty trays on the table. Sure, everyone's had to deal with that.
With the water hoses thing, I feel like this is a little silly, but it's a hate. They always kink. Right?
Like, you gotta buy good ones. You gotta buy expensive ones. I mean, that's really the bottom.
Yeah. I just remember like working at a garden center and it would like always kink, but like most of the way back from it. So if it's like 100-foot hose, right? Like it would like, and then you try to twist it. You're like twisting it. And then you're like, trying to get it to go. And
or when you're watering way away in like maybe even another greenhouse, but somebody in the pump house doesn't know you're watering and they just shut your line off. Switch it over to another hose. You're like, what's going on here? Oh yeah. Love that. The other thing that with the empty trays brought up on the table, Bill, you hate to see it, is you walk in the greenhouse and you see that one dead hanging basket in the whole row that clearly like the dripper isn't working. It hasn't worked for months. And no one has like looked up and been like, that's dead. That's crispy. Like that's KFC extra crispy. Let me take that down.
Yeah.
I remember my dad used to get so furious in the greenhouse.
Because everyone who walked in the greenhouse saw it.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was just like, someone else will take care of that.
Yeah.
I got a very specific one here. Downy mildew on brassicas due to early autumn humidity. I'm sure that she's not the only person who hates that.
Is it? I always get, is it downy mildew due to the early humidity in autumn or vice versa? Or is it powdery mildew?
Probably could be both.
Yeah. I wouldn't even know if I had downy mildew on my brassica, would I? They just die?
I guess. I don't know.
All right, Mason, Mr. Produce guy. How would I know if I have downy mildew on any of my vegetable plants?
But, I mean, won't you see it?
No, it's powdery mildew. Isn't powdery and downy different?
Well, yeah, but they're
but they
mildew.
Both have symptoms. I think they both have visible symptoms.
I thought downy mildew has like spores on the bottom of the leaves. No?
Yeah. So if your plants are looking rough.
Yeah, but I'm not going like this underneath to see the spores.
Turn the leaf over. You don't have to get upside down.
Oh, you don't? Oh, I thought that's what you had to do.
No, just turn the leaf over.
Okay.
I will say someone did put the thing that annoys the most are people. And I think that's worth just double clicking on real quick because
double click on
it. That? I think that there are folks in our industry who are plant people. And plant people aren't always people. I think that's a broad brush. I don't want to paint that too much, but sometimes I feel like our industry is very plant. Like people like little plants. They focus on the plants. They like taking care of plants. And then when the whole people, that enters the equation, some people can get kind of frustrated.
Well, I wonder too, like, are there I'm curious of like how many growers would consider themselves more introverted versus extroverted. And right, like generally introverts.
Like, do you think there's a greater population of introverts in our industry than compared to overall society?
I would say like I'm thinking like growers.
You segment it
like,
by what they do. Growers.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Because
retail managers probably both extroverts and introverts.
Yeah. But like good growers who like, I mean, I went to school to be a grower and then I did an internship where I was like growing. And I'm like, well, this is really boring. Like I can't just look. I just can't. I need interaction. So then, but I know introverts. Sometimes like from social interactions, right? Like they'll tire out, or they just don't like people.
Right. They get recharged by being by themselves.
Yeah. So I don't know. So I would just kind of be curious about that.
Yeah, it'd be interesting. We could put that in the wages and benefits survey. Are you an introvert or an extrovert? All right. Anyone else? Got any others?
I do kind of. I think that a lot of growers hate might be a strong word, but when plants are delayed in transit, they hate that, number one. But like if things freeze and then like, why aren't there replacements? Like I know from like when I worked at Darwin, we did unrooted cuttings. You have a finite amount of cuttings available each week. And a lot of times going into peak, like it's mostly sold out. And so people are just like, well, why can't you just hold the cuttings? Or if they freeze, like, why can't I get more? And I think that but that's just a complex or the challenge of us having material products that are
you've got a perishable product
that
goes through a cold chain or and we ship our products in the opposite time of year, the opposite climate that they thrive in, right? Like I was talking about it, like poinsettias always ship the hottest week of the year, like always. You pretty much like clockwork, like, oh, it's gonna be 95 next week when it's peak shipping week. And then the flip side, there's always, it's like, oh, we're going to be shipping millions and millions of URCs this week. And it's like, oh, wait, ice storms across the entire Northeast. That's nice. Happens every year. It drives everybody crazy. That's got to be a horticulture's most hated.
Oh, and then to continue on that, this is like garden center hate, a late frost. Like that sucks. Like you get a frost like Mother's Day.
Yeah.
Everybody hates that.
No, that totally sucks.
And especially if you got plants outside, like if you're semi-indoor, semi-outdoor, and you're taking like frost cloth out there.
I was going to say you're covering every night. You're running out there. But from that,
like I started going down this path when you guys were talking about it. Like there's a lot of weather hates. Like maybe the biggest one, and probably something we don't talk about a ton in weather, because we're always like, is it cold? Is it hot? Is it rainy? Is it sunny? Wind. I don't know why, but from a young age, my father instilled a fear, like a primal fear in me of just wind, like to the point where I don't like driving a car with the windows down because it feels like there's a lot of wind. Because anytime there was wind, like my buddies still text me to this day that worked with me at the greenhouse, and they're like, the wind's coming. The wind's coming. And there was just like everybody started scurrying, like roll up sides, got to take them down, shut the roof vent, shut the doors. And then like wind would just whip the plants out front. Like there was always a fear of wind, just wind. And
did your dad have like an issue once where like the roof was like slightly open and the wind captured it and just like yanked it off?
I mean, he would sell greenhouses, and so he had seen where people like left their roof vents open and essentially just caught it and ripped it off or bent it back. And like those things like once they're bent, like it's done. Like you got to take that whole thing off and replace it. And wind can totally, especially like I don't know too much about glass houses because all ours were like poly, but like if it gets under that poly, it's essentially like take a big sheet out in a windstorm and it's just right. So like that's where like wind to a lot of folks, not good bedfellows. So
that's a good one. That's definitely a good one. All right, we ready to spin the plant wheel?
Yeah, let's do
it. Of desire. You guys got echinacea while I was gone.
Yeah, you say you missed it last week, echinacea. Do you have any comments on echinacea while I cue this up?
Yeah, I think most of them look the same.
Wow. Well, the nice thing about...
No, because he just in my own backyard. I was out there again today, actually mowed the lawn earlier. And I was looking at the echinacea, which are still blooming beautifully. And there's different heights. There's different like structures. Like there's orange, there's pink, there's purple. I don't know.
I think I like that we've gotten away from just purple, pink, and white. And I like that we've gotten into the reds, yellows, and oranges. But to me, double scoop does have a cool pattern like that, like structure. But I think that a lot of it, to me, I'm like, I think that's all we need. I think that's we've got the echinaceas that we need. Time to move on to something else and work on that.
That's fair. That's fair, but it's not going to happen because perennial breeding companies, because echinacea is a big seller, so the dollars are going into the breeding.
I know.
And the next 5 that come out are going to be just like the last 5, but they're going to be considered new and exciting.
I actually think you'll see next 15, 20 years more echinacea breeding, but not necessarily for color. I think you'll see it for utility. And I think as people focus on like holistic medicines and stuff, echinacea is one that comes up a lot.
Yeah. Because it's a mood. It's like a mood regulator.
Yeah, I think you'll see a lot of people try to do some of that with it.
That's fair.
Just based on things I've seen. But
we need really compact little echinacea, like first year flowering, like they can go into containers and take the place of
Gerbras
manuals. Yeah.
Maybe we could do like something like
osteos.
I don't know if I've ever seen a Gerbera that didn't have thrips.
Yeah.
Gerber.
I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan of Gerber daisies unless
we're gonna get it today.
You know what? My wife likes them in bouquets. Like that's one of Jenny's favorite plants in a bouquet, but they never last very long. They have to like tube them and everything. I don't know.
Did I miss something? How did we go from echinacea to Gerber? Did I miss
We're gonna replace Gerberas with echinacea. I'm okay with it.
All right. Here it comes.
All right, let's go.
We ready?
Yeah.
All right.
Wheel of Desire.
If it lands on Gerber daisies, I'm gonna respin it.
We'll just keep the conversation going.
Do you take the ones out that we do?
Oh,
summer snaps. Beautiful. I love this plant. This is the most underrated garden plant of all. That's my hot take.
That is a hot take.
I love Angelonia. Like love. It's one of my absolute favorite.
I like
plants.
The upright kinds.
What's that?
I like the upright kinds. Like when they're trying to be tall
ones.
Yeah, but I don't
They're
care.
Good. They could be border plant. They could be back of the border plant. They got seed. They got vegetative. Big blooms, small blooms. My daughter loves them.
But there's like big ones too. Like a lot of the newer breeding. Like what is it? The Guardian out of floor plant? No, Guardian something angel, right? Yeah, it's like
probably.
So it's like basically a delphinium now at one point. I like that. And they got the new darker colors and
they're heat lovers.
Yeah. I guess that would be
deer do not like them.
Yeah, that would be the
saying
flip
they're
side.
deer proof, but deer resistant in the landscape. Mason, I feel like you don't like Angelonia. I feel like you have a grumpy look on your face about it.
I'm not a big fan. They're just like, I think.
Are they too wimpy for you? Because
that's why I like the tall ones. I like the big ones. There's one that specifically is like a purple and white bicolor. I like that one. It might even be blue and white technically on the tag. Yeah. But like what I don't like is the trailing ones. The ones that are like flowy.
They're almost floppy.
Yeah.
I don't think I like those either.
Yeah.
It's like why I don't like old school salvia. They do the same thing. They just sort of grow tall, look pretty, and then flop.
Yeah. Although I think there's a pretty strong trend about for design, naturalistic design, which is kind of a native look. It's not just using natives; it's natives and cultivars, a lot of cultivars. But the Angelonia, when I was talking to someone, was like, "Oh, like I could see Angelonia being an annual that's used in naturalistic design, or even more with natives, because it kind of has a little bit of a looser look or floppy that Mason doesn't like, but that would go more coincide with a more naturalistic sort of design."
I can see that. I will tell a quick Angelonia story. It has to do with Callaway's nursery in Texas. They were doing something. They were working some deal with Pan American Seed and their growers to like bring in a bunch of Serena Angelonia when Serena was launched, seed version of Angelonia. And this was right when I started working retail at Ball. And so we were down there working with Callaway's, and our product manager for Pan Am, Wayne Pianta, shout out to Wayne, love Wayne, but retire. He was down there talking to Callaway's, and he convinced them to plant Serena Angelonia in front of all their stores. And I want to say they had 13 or 15 stores at the time. So they put them in the beds in front of their stores, and they were awesome in that Texas heat. They were like the perfect plant for that. And they sold so many, they put Serena on the map in terms of independent garden center chains. And they sold so many Angelonias that for the next year after year after year, just by that 1 year of showcasing them out in the front of their bed. And I think they got all those for free. That might have been the deal. is put the landscape ones for free, and then it just drove sales. So if you're in a hot climate, Angelonia, plant them in front of your store.
I remember there used to be a problem, like a bud abortion on Angelonia.
Yeah.
I remember being like, people were working to solve it, and I was like, never heard of that. Like, I don't know.
Tip abortion, tip atrophy.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe, all right.
Maybe
I'll
nailed the culture on that now. Like, people know, I don't hear we don't hear any issues with Angelonia.
Maybe I'll give it another shot, guys.
Do it. We put them in my mother-in-law's bed out behind their house. They live on a river, and it's like scorching sun. Like, there's no protection. This bed gets smoked. Most little plants that go in there just get torched. But the Angelonia, we bought big Angelonia this year. Ballflower plant Angelonia, shout out. But they looked awesome. So, and the lantana. We did Angelonia and lantana. Perfect.
Now there's a good plant.
Yeah, definitely.
Would Angelonia be like the ideal plant in the Midwest by your mailbox, where it's like hammered with the heat and assuming you don't have like trees.
It's a good pollinator too. Hummingbirds like it. Butterflies like it. I think so.
All right. So I was for it before, and
it was your first pick of the plant draft. I would hope you were for it.
Yeah.
No, I know that. I know that was my.
It's because it was alphabetical.
All
right, shout outs. Let's go. I'll give my first shout out to teachers starting school. I always give shout out to teachers. That's talk about an undervalued job being a grower, undervalued job being a teacher. So.
Oh yeah, and they're way undervalued. I mean, they're like basically making sure our kids are like decent human beings and learning stuff. And
Jenny said that she heard, my wife, middle school teacher for years, said that she heard someone referred to it as it's like having a kid's birthday party, but like they don't want to be there, and you do it every day for like months. They don't want to learn. They have no interest in being at this birthday party, but you have to keep coming back every single day, day after day after day. Hey, Mason, you know teachers.
I wish that could be something I hate, is kids' birthday parties. That's my personal hell. Kids' birthday party that I have to go to every single day.
Well, hey, you know what? Next year, for one of your next birthday for your kid, offer them $25 in cash. And then instead of the birthday party, they might take it at an early age. As you get older, you might have to be like, $100.
It's not even, that only gets me out of 2.
Going to the birthday party?
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
Although we went to a kid's birthday party once and had a taco truck. That was probably the best birthday party I ever went to, adult or kids.
Yeah. I remember going to, this is before I had children. I remember going to a kid's birthday party in November. And there was a bounce house that the dad had set up. There's a bounce house that the dad had set up because he loved bounce houses so much, and he just went in the bounce house a bunch.
Wow. Who would do that?
That's not
crazy.
True.
In November too? Wow. Sounds cold.
What? No, she wanted. It was my daughter. It was my daughter's. I think you guys were both there, right?
Yeah.
I was definitely not there.
Oh, you weren't there for that?
I'm sure Jason was.
It rained.
A picture of me and Jason. It was during November because there was the joke was
we were there.
Yeah.
We were there. I'm in that picture too.
Nasty mustaches.
I'm going to dig that out. Party. I'll dig that out and put that. I might drop that in here.
Yeah. I think I might. I probably have a picture of that too. Yeah. And then it rained. And then I did do the jump house a bunch, and I remember
quite the rain
sore the next day. I could do flips and stuff. I was so young then.
No, you weren't. No,
yeah, that was like 12 years ago.
You were what?
Remember that?
My age now?
Possibly. I'm 37 right now, and 12 years before. No, I'm just kidding. I was 30 then or so.
So pretty close to Mason's age. There's no chance Mason could do a flip on a train in a bounce house today.
Well, but he's 35. Are you 35?
Yeah, I think so. I just gotta wait till the next kid's birthday party and get in the bounce house.
All right.
Get out of here, kids.
You do a flip. Tell me how it goes.
Okay. Do I have to land it, or can I just flip to my butt?
No.
Oh, you might flip to your butt. That's probably fine. But do a couple of those to see if you can move the next day. You let me know.
Okay. Shout outs. 2 shout outs. 2 shout outs to organizations that probably think of each other as competitors. And they're probably like, why do? But shout out to Tessman and the folks up there, and a shout out to Carlin and the folks there for having me this week and hosting us and putting on good shows all around. And you guys may look at each other as competitors, but I'm just happy you're out there servicing our customers and doing a good job at it. So thanks, guys.
Good work. Good work. No shout out to BFG for declaring bankruptcy.
That's a topic for another day, a darker day.
But we're not shouting them out because that is not cool.
So like an anti-shout out?
Yeah. Not cool, guys.
Not cool. Seth, any shout outs or hot takes?
Nah, I don't think so.
The only hot take that I had was just that I think there's a lot of pressure on parents the first couple weeks of school. And I don't remember that being the case when I was a kid. So just a lot of supplies needed, a lot of I don't know. I just feel like parents are under a lot of pressure the first few weeks of school. There's certain theme days and stuff. I don't know.
Maybe the hot take is just
pressure on kids too. I don't think it's cool.
Yeah, the getting back to the school just kind of just sucks in general. Like going from not a lot of structure to heavy structure.
Yeah,
everyone retaliates.
Shorten the school year. You don't need as much. You don't need it.
Shorten the school day.
Shorten it all. Get rid of it.
Okay,
it's been proven that if kids started later, an hour and a half later, they would be so much better off because they'd get a little bit extra sleep. They wouldn't have to just, go right into that. All
right, hot. Continuing this topic though, and then I'd be kind of curious on what Jenny's thoughts. So she's a teacher, and I will actually, Mason, your wife, is a teacher still.
Yeah.
Trained a teacher I feel like the school system is outdated, right? The structure and how they do school is the same way it was 100 years ago. And as people have evolved and there's lots of different kids out there, the general school that relies on compliance and just do as I say at this exact moment is not ideal for most.
Yeah, I think Jenny would tell you that the teaching, the philosophy of teaching has changed, that collaborative learning is much more a part of a classroom these days, and which is probably more applicable to how people's jobs are.
But the structure hasn't changed.
But she would also tell you that it comes down to the teacher. So much of it comes down to the teacher, and do they still have energy and passion, and have they, stayed up to date on new learning techniques and
teacher, but then it still gets back to the structure of how the school system wants things to be, and getting kids up at 5:30 so they can get on the bus and be to school by 6:30.
It's not healthy,
right? Kids should there should be actually the fact that kids even Bill the fact that you have to choose your degree when you're 15, 16, and I don't know.
That's not cool.
But sorry,
I don't know. But I'm also don't want kids to get soft, so I do think there should be.
That's right. Hot take's a hot take. I think you're wrong on it. I think getting up at 5:30 is a good thing for kids.
It's not. It is.
Why not?
Good.
I used to.
Kids are developing. I think it's good for the three of us. I get up at 5:25 every day. Come on, let's go.
Exactly. And I used to get up at
kids should.
I used to get up at 4 a.m. so that I could be the first one in the school. I want to be the first one every day.
What the heck is wrong with you?
No one's like that.
Why did you need to get up at 4?
Well, I
showed up at school today 40 minutes before the bell was supposed to ring, and there was not a car in the parking lot of the upper school.
I was the first car in the parking lot. I had the first parking spot.
No way.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you were valedictorian, so maybe that's right. Matters.
Yeah. Question for you. How many valedictorians are there per school year, per class?
In mine, there were 3.
There's 3. Okay, so you have 1 to 3. So what you're saying...
Now there's only 1. They've moved to a 1 model.
Is applies to 1 to 3 people per class. The vast majority of kids are not getting there in the very beginning, the first minute they can get there.
But shouldn't all kids strive to be there?
I feel like you're the kid
between there's things they should do, but they're not.
I knew everybody. I sat there and watched everybody walk in the school. I sat right by the door.
Loser.
I knew every kid in the high school. Even if as a senior, even the freshman. I knew every single kid's name, every single one. Now, in a school of 1,000 kids, probably impossible. In mine, 400 and some, I knew every single kid's name.
I don't know. We had different high school experiences.
Yeah.
I didn't hate high school. High school was fine. I went to an all boys high school that was more or less driven by sports.
Yeah, that's true. Good wrestling team.
I was not the first one at school. I actually got to know the attendance lady really well because I was late so often, but she would always give me a pass. Like I got very few detentions because I'd be late, be like, "Oh, Mrs. So-and-so, I'm sorry," you know, and I just kind of get to know her a little bit. And then she's like, "Oh, Seth, just
talked
go
your way
on
out
in.
of
It's
it.
fine."
Seth, I wouldn't have even known who to go to for a late pass.
No, I didn't. I was never late because I had swim practice every morning, and we just came straight from swim practice to school.
I was a slacker.
Grabbed the tie out, threw it over your head, jacked it up, and ran to class. Like, and if you were an athlete, you didn't. Especially if you were a letterman, you definitely got a pass if you were late for class because of sport. Anyways,
take us home, Bill.
I will take us home. That is it for episode 34. I think it was a good one, and I mean, it was a solid episode. And to our dear listeners, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. As I always remind you at the end of every show, we want to connect with you. Comment about what you liked, what you didn't. Give us some ideas or topics to discuss. We do have a topic that came in recently about best plants for Martian gardens that I think we should address next time. So yeah, tune in for that. You can watch us on YouTube and Spotify. You can listen on Apple Podcasts. Best way to get in touch, find out what we are up to is by following us on Instagram at G8 Squad Pod. You can reach out to us individually. Lastly, be sure to like, subscribe, follow, and all that. Be a friend, tell a friend about the show. And if you have anything about horticulture that drives you crazy, horticulture's most hated. Fine young cannibals. Put that in the comments. Send it to us. We'd love to hear from you. Or just go to the Greenhouse Tech Team Facebook group and post it on the question that's in there this past week. So, gentlemen, it's been real.
Awesome. Thanks.
See you guys.
Take care. Be good. Stay cool.